Kids!
Jesus is betrayed. After Judas left the high priest, he looked for an opportunity to tell where Jesus would be alone, so that the temple guards could arrest Jesus. During the Passover meal, Jesus, knowing what Judas would do, told him to go and do quickly what he had intended. After celebrating the Passover meal, Jesus led his disciples to the Mountain of Olives. "All of you will desert me," Jesus told them, "for God has declared through the prophets, 'I will kill the shepherd and the sheep will scatter.' But after I am raised to life again, I will go to Galilee and meet you there." Peter said to him, "I will never desert you, no matter what the others do." "Peter," Jesus said, "before the cock crows a second time tomorrow morning, you will deny me 3 times. "No," Peter insisted. "Not even if I have to die with you, I will never deny you." And all the other apostles vowed the same. They came to an olive grove called the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus took Peter, James and John with him and told the others too, "Sit here while I go and pray." Jesus began to be filled with horror and deepest distress. He told Peter, James and John, "My soul is crushed by sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and watch and pray with me." Jesus went on a little farther and fell to the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the awful hour awaiting him might never come. "Father, Father," he pleaded, "everything is possible for you. Take away this cup from me. Yet I want your will, not mine, to be done." Jesus returned to find the 3 disciples asleep. Jesus woke them and told Peter, "Watch with me and pray, lest the tempter overpower you. For though the spirit is willing enough, the body is weak." But when Jesus returned the 2nd and 3rd time after more prayer, the 3 disciples had fallen asleep once more. The 3rd time Jesus returned to them and he said, "The time for sleep has ended. Look, I am betrayed into my hands of wicked men. Come, get up, we must go. Look, my betrayer is here." That moment, Judas arrived with a crowd equipped with swords and clubs, sent out by the chief priests and other Jewish leaders. Judas had agreed to show them who Jesus was by greeting him with a kiss. The men seized Jesus and arrested him. Peter drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. But Jesus told Peter to put his sword away. "Don't resist any more," Jesus insisted. Then he reached out, touched the place where the man's ear had been, and restored it. Jesus was led off to the high priest's residence. All the other disciples deserted Jesus and fled. John and Peter, however, followed Jesus but kept their distance. Peter followed right into the courtyard of the high priest and sat with the guards, warming himself by the fire. The chief priests and Jewish leaders were looking for evidence against Jesus so that they could put him to death, but they didn't find any. Many testified falsely against him, but their statements did not agree. Some claimed, "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple made with human hands, and in 3 days will build another, not made with hands.'" "Are you not going to answer?" the high priest asked Jesus. But Jesus remained silent. The high priest asked Jesus, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" "I am," said Jesus, "and you will see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." At hearing this, the high priest tore his clothes. "Why do we need any more witnesses?" he asked. "You have heard this blasphemy. What do you think?" They shouted, "He must die! He must die!" Some began to spit at Jesus. They blindfolded him, struck him with their fists and said, "Prophesy!" And the guards took him and beat him. While Peter was in the courtyard, one of the servant girls of the high priest came by. She looked closely at Peter and said, "You were with that Nazarene, Jesus." Peter denied it. "I don't know what you are talking about," he replied. Later, out by the gate, another girl noticed him and said to those standing around, "This man was with Jesus." Again, Peter denied it, this time with an oath. "I don't even know the man," he said. Men who had been standing there came over to Peter and said, "We know you are one of the disciples, for we can tell by your Galilean accent." Peter began to curse and swear. "I don't even know the man," he said. Immediately, the cock crowed. Jesus turned around and looked at Peter. Peter remembered what Jesus had said earlier. "Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter went away and cried bitterly.